Hello, dear friends. Time neither gives nor takes away an atom from infinity. In the laws that regulate the universe, it is decreed that the path cannot last long. The experiment is over. In quotes, those who learn nothing from the unpleasant events of their life force the cosmic consciousness to reproduce them as many times as necessary to learn what the trauma of what happened teaches. What you deny subdues you. What you accept transforms you. Signed, Carl Gustav Jung. Opinion piece. Your consciousness is the key. It leads you to the new world. At the key moment, you will be alone. No one will judge you or reward you. No one will be able to say they didn't have a chance. It is decreed that the path cannot last long. Earth is the last stronghold of the fallen angels. All star portals in the solar system blocked. US government to run out of money on Friday. Central banks prepare to launch digital currencies. UK recognizes octopuses and crabs as sentient beings. Trump says prepare for a week that would change history. Alex Collier talks about Andromeda Council and human liberation. Space Force says US satellites under attack daily. Let's start. Your consciousness is the key to enter the 5D portal by Peter B. Meyer. Your consciousness is the password to enter the world of the fifth dimension. It will be at that moment when your consciousness says, do it or don't do it. At that moment, you will be alone. No one will judge you or reward you, but you will feel it when it has really happened. It is the end of a period, and it will be the beginning of a new era. Nothing and no one has the power to influence the individual decision. For every human being, there is still free will. No soul will be able to say that it didn't have a chance. The third dimension is the world of lies, deception, competition, destructive criticism, selfishness, above all, greed. Control and power are the only goal. Backstabbing, malice, and low-frequency maintenance for conviction and control are actions that block the portal to the fifth dimension, where cooperation, helpfulness, and devotion are always directed toward good, pure, and clean intentions, with empathy and care for others. That is the track that leads you to the new world. Ascension is traveling upward, and by definition would be the path of those human beings who consciously decide to go to a higher level of light. It can only be found when the consciousness is truly expanded enough to understand every lesson that was presented during successive incarnations. Remember that nothing and no one will decide for you. The last refuge. Earth is the last stronghold of the fallen angels. After wandering through many galaxies and the entire Orion arm of the Milky Way, the attack on this solar system is now over. Previously, they were permanently closed their refuges from the planet Earth, namely the Moon and Mars. In this year, 2021, the Moon was reclaimed by the forces of light, and shortly thereafter all their bases on Mars were closed. All star portals in this solar system are blocked, and no one can enter or leave except the positive forces of the Federation. These protective layers have been formed around Earth, for which a countless fleet of spacecraft and army of billions of benevolent galactic beings have been committed. The Creator's mandate has been fulfilled. The enough is enough is in place and no alternative remains for the dark powers. They have had billions of years to redeem themselves from their deviations, but those who have resisted are now at the end of the road of their wanderings through the universes. They must surrender and accept their recycling on wells of atonement and testimony. If they do not obey this command, their fate will be the central solar fire, or the second death, as some call it. Change of plans. The negative resistance group, knowing what is coming, has decided to change plans. The head of the pyramid has chosen to destroy the planet, but the Creator is the one who really decides and obviously cannot allow this to happen. Now the divine plan for the earth will be fulfilled, whether they want it or not. Even the Desire Wars will not be able to change the designs of their higher command. The regressive power is left only with less attractive alternatives, which somehow cause them problems. And so the final plan of the shadow power has become an attack on strategic people among incarnated humankind. This is the time when witnessing and praying really comes in handy. Souls who indulge in evil during their incarnation are segregated beyond the grave so that they can serve on the other side of the physical world. It is not unlike the astral on earth, where there are spiritual colonies and shelters to collect souls within the plans and choices that each one makes during successive incarnations. The archons prepare many wandering souls to incarnate and assume prominent hierarchical positions in all segments of the existing society on earth. Revelations. The revelations that have already begun and will continue to expand in the coming months will show to these key figures who these key figures are among the incarnated people. As if this were not enough, they would also control the production of clones who can replace an incarnate who actually occupies a very important common position within the hierarchies, although it seems that this business has been shut down. But there is something even more incredible that can affect many people at this very important moment of the resurrection of the souls. All incarnated people who occupy a prominent position within the practices that can positively influence human consciousness are under its control. They are surreptitiously seduced into a deviant path so that they succumb fatally without the necessary vigilance. Each of them could be surrounded by various non-physical entities who would do anything to divert them from their sincerest intentions. They would have the ability to influence the consciousness of each and every one, and generally the individual wouldn't know the difference. Manipulations. There are cases of spokespersons who believe they are receiving information from the light, while in reality it is someone who is manipulating them. They often say that they have an exclusive source of information and that they have been chosen to be their spokesperson within our society. They transmit information, some of which is true, but which is actually intended to create doubt, lies, and deception. They make incarnated people believe in their information and confront them with other media or information channels. Therefore, it often happens that the being who claims to be a worker of the light attacks another companion. It is also very noticeable in spiritual centers when some leaders do not allow anyone to replace them. To follow the controllers consciously or unconsciously, to serve them and maintain their course. Once they surrender, there is no turning back. They have entered a fatal timeline that will take them into the exile from planet Earth. This is when their last chance of all previous successive incarnations. Responsibility. The seriousness of the responsibility would depend on the function and position of each human being, not only of those who can contribute to humankind in this time of ascension, but especially of those who would be oriented, guided, or informed by these beings. Every incarnated human being must take a minimum effort to expand his or her consciousness so as not to be deceived. The key is to feel. Feel if it resonates with your heart. If it doesn't resonate, pay no attention to it. Even if it is a truth, it will resurface later. But if it is a mistake, it is harder to dismantle the belief once it has taken root. You always have a choice. No one can force you to do anything. The real messages are the ones that bring you inner peace, give you confidence, and renew your energy. Anything that doesn't fit here, let it go without fear and guilt. Crossroads. According to Archangel Michael by Sharon Stewart, we would be approaching a crossroads point, an apex in the journey of rectifying the wrongs on planet Earth. This crossroads would slowly appear in the coming months. It would involve the collapse of the economic system and would begin to appear to everyone to be happening. When the system finally collapses, the new one would already be in place, so there would be little work to create a transition. The ones who are going to collapse the economic system are yourselves, ourselves. You are asking yourself how you would do this. You will do this through your thoughts. You understand that there is a new quantum computer system running on the planet, and you believe it is already in place, and it is. You are going through an individual experience collectively. This collective should be on the side of God, on the side of goodness, so that more and more people continue to awaken. The key factor in all of this is not your physical reality. It is the mind, but don't be sorry. Yes, people are still struggling within the confines of the old economic system, but their minds are seeking a better way of life for themselves and their families. Yes, people watching the news are upset with what they are seeing, but their minds are seeking a better way of life for themselves and their families. The energies coming in now are the best way. These energies will now synchronize with your mind and what you wish to create. Most human beings want something better for themselves, and this will not be created, for it can be. Know that for many years, eons in fact, as humankind on earth was destitute, your minds asked, begged, prayed, and wished for something better. It couldn't happen because of the limitation imposed by the interveners. Now it can happen because these limitations are gone. Your minds can now resume the task of recreating your world. Keep wishing the best for yourselves and act when the opportunity arises. The only thing standing in your way is now the belief in the old. Embrace the new. Use your imagination to create goodness for all. It is about manifestation, nothing more. This is a battle of minds. Reset news. The world is experiencing a financial crisis, the implosion of cryptocurrencies and the stock market. To solve it, the coalition would be applying a financial reset. Digital currencies. On the contrary, central banks around the world are preparing to launch digital currencies at the same time in order to initiate a great reset. State-issued digital currency to control and track all aspects of citizen lives. We don't need a social credit score when money itself is used to control our behavior. The US federal government will run out of money on Friday, December 3rd, amid a gridlocked Senate calendar that could delay passage of the reconciliation package. Congress rushes to avert government shutdown. Top Democrats in the Senate rushed Wednesday to avert the threat of a partial federal government shutdown posed by Republicans. Congress has until midnight Friday to pass a measure that would continue to fund federal government operations. It is talked about the Project Odin, where coalition would use the new Starlink satellite system to occupy the mainstream media and transmit real news through the emergency broadcast system. Kuwait confirms that they have received $1.47 billion in compensation for the invasion of Iraq. The dinar will start floating in Iraq. They have an international tariff. The most important word we have received would be that everything is done. Every faction is finished. Everything is funded and everything will go at once. Each of the major sources is absolutely silent right now, and this could be a very positive sign. This doesn't happen often. When it does, it seems to me that signs would be imminent, like the end of the world clock just before midnight. There are things behind the scenes that bring us closer and closer. This silence from the sources seems to say that something would be happening. Trump says, get ready for the week that will change history. The damage has been done and the consequences will be suffered. The controlled collapse cannot be stopped. He posted a video message urging his supporters with the following message. This could be the biggest event in the history of Washington, D.C. Coffee price hits 10-year high and could be continued to rise. The price of coffee has reached a 10-year high and is thought likely to continue to rise until 2023. Its value for December delivery rose to $2.34 per pound, while coffee futures on the New York Intercontinental Exchange saw to $2.46 last Thursday, marking the highest price in 2011 when it topped $3 per pound. Space. The only total solar eclipse of 2021 will take place this weekend. The total event will be visible only from Antarctica, but astronomy fans in the rest of the southern hemisphere, including parts of Chile, New Zealand and Australia, will be able to enjoy a partial solar eclipse. The event, which will take place next Saturday, December 4th, will reach its maximum extent to around 7:33 GMT from viewers near the Filchner-Ronne ice shelf on the Antarctic continent. A new theory points to the sun as a source of water on Earth. The appearance of water on Earth could have its origin in the sun, according to a new theory developed by an international team of experts published Monday in the journal Nature. This concept is millenary and comes from the alchemical tradition. Space Force says US satellites under attack daily. Space Force General David Thompson said satellites are under attack every day by adversaries in a warlike manner, according to an op-ed piece published in the Washington Post. Alarm over China's orbital hypersonic weapons. The Pentagon suggests that China tested a fractional orbital bombardment system earlier this year. China's new orbital hypersonic glide vehicle weapon presents a challenge to the Pentagon as it has no active countermeasures for these weapons. What is the metaverse? It was said that Lucifer wanted to rule his own kingdom, unfitted by the creator of existence, a false kingdom, so to speak. It seems that artificial intelligence and the transhuman virtual reality it could spawn would then be the ticket to this type of realm. Living robots able to reproduce. The group of US scientists who created the first living robots, or xenobots, from living frog embryo cells, recently discovered that they are capable of self-replication. Andromeda. Alex Collier talks about the Andromeda Council and human liberation. Our friends above have been among us for a long time. In an Exopolitics Today interview, Alex Collier discusses the Andromeda Council and their multifaceted approach to liberating humankind and preventing a galactic tyranny 350 years in the future from arising. Alex talked about how the Andromedans instigated a broad alliance of cosmic civilizations to intervene on behalf of humankind against negative groups, and how this alliance would have led to a global awakening and liberation of our solar system. Alex pointed out that the negative alien groups have largely been eliminated as a threat in our solar system, and that we would be on a positive timeline where humankind would soon eliminate the last vestiges of negative human control groups. The Draco alliance with the government has had chromatic foundation of youth, and their days are numbered, even though they have been underground for eons. Grace versus Arthurians. Grace versus Arthurian visitors, according to Justin Bellucci. It is very likely that many of the grey alien bodies are biological drones created in a laboratory and therefore not capable of sustaining natural biological spiritual evolution, consciousness expansion and procreation. Therefore, they would abduct, harvest and manipulate humans to obtain their unique DNA that would be capable of sustaining life and light within their own body's tissues, because the alien grey bodies are dead tissues or synthetic bodies. The inability to evolve or procreate would have led Grace and other Zeta aliens to create hybrid breeding programs to impregnate Earth females or take eggs and sperm from Earth to people with desirable genetics to create hybrid offspring. In contrast, the Arcturians would be compassionate and benevolent ET beings who would be assisting humankind during the ascension cycle in accordance with the law of the guardian host of one of the protocols, and would be the closest example of a future humanoid family that has gone through a 5D ascension process, which would be similar to the current ascension process of planet Earth. Arcturus is the brightest beginning in the constellation Bootes. There would be both benevolent and negative beings from the Arcturian system, and they would be the primary guardians of the 7D timelines. Curious. The curious punishment that consisted of walking drunks and ruffians dressed in a barrel. Between the late 16th and mid-19th centuries, in various parts of the world, an exemplary punishment was carried out, which consisted of dressing drunks and ruffians in a barrel and making them walk through the streets of the population as a public scorn and mockery. The oldest known fossils of a mysterious human lineage are discovered in a Siberian cave. A group of researchers identified 200,000 years old remains belonging to three Devisonans species of the genus Homo that inhabited continental Asia, the islands of Southeast Asia and Oceania. UK recognizes octopuses and crabs as sentient beings. The United Kingdom has officially recognized octopuses and crabs as sentient beings, finally catching up with the well-established science on these intelligent animals. In quotes, science is now clear that decapods and cephalopods can feel pain, and so it would be right that they should be covered by this vital law, said Animal Welfare Minister Lord Zach Goldsmith. The update to the Animal Welfare Sentience Bill, which would protect decapods and cephalopods, along with all backboned animals from frogs to dogs, follows a review of more than 300 scientific studies in the London School of Economics and Political Science. Cephalopods, such as squid and octopus, and decapods, including crabs and lobsters, are already protected by animal welfare legislation in other European countries such as Norway, Sweden and Austria. In quotes, sentience is the ability to have feelings, such as feeling of pain, pleasure, hunger, thirst, warmth, joy, comfort and excitement. The researchers explain in the report. This concept of sentient beings comes from the Buddhist tradition. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.